Hey, welcome to Life in the Leadership Lane. I'm your host, Bruce Waller, where I get to talk to leaders that are making a difference in the workplace and in their communities. What did they do to get started? And what are they doing to stay there? And oh my goodness, we are in the summer of 2024. We are counting down to the HR Southwest Conference, and I'm bringing you a very special guest today as I'm getting to talk to Lisa Harris. She's the talent manager at Thorn Network, and she is our 2024 HR Southwest Conference Director. Lisa, I'm so excited to have you on the show. How you doing?
Yes, I'm great. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for including me and inviting me, Bruce.
Oh, of course. Okay, so I always like to start the show reflecting on when I met someone or when they came into my path, or maybe a moment. And so we've known each other through Dallas HR and HR Southwest for many, many, many years. But here's a moment. I want to see if you remember this. Is whenever my grandson was born, Crosby, and we were at a Dallas HR meeting, and you brought me a grandpa coffee mug. Do you remember that?
I do. I remember that like it was yesterday.
And now it's 7 years later.
That's crazy. Time flies.
Oh, I do remember that. It's amazing how the little things are the biggest things in our life. And so, oh man, I'm so excited to talk to you. Before we start talking to about the HR Southwest Conference, though, I would love for you to share just a brief highlight of the Thorn Network and how you serve your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Thorn Network is one of the largest and most respected recruitment research firms in the country. We partner with companies across all industries, really helping them go out after the passive talent for a small flat fee. So, it's ever changing, working on with different clients and customers and industries on all sorts of levels of positions, and really just playing matchmaker for our clients, going out after the passive talent, making connections and helping people. So, it's fun and something new every day and constantly learning and growing. So it's been an incredible opportunity.
I love that matchmaker.
Yeah,
You're the matchmaker. I
I'm the
love it.
matchmaker.
Yeah, in my latest book, Drive with Purpose, I talk about significance and how I feel like in your matchmaking, matching someone up for a particular job, it's really like so gratifying for you personally to be able to help them. But for the person that's landed, I'm sure that means even more to them. So I'm sure you get a lot out of it. And how long have you been there?
Yes. Almost 16 years,
Oh,
which is crazy, but awesome. I absolutely love my job and what I do.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going to put a link in the show notes. If someone wants to learn a little bit more about the Thorn Network, they can certainly do that. I would love for you to just, I know a lot about you, Lisa, but I would love to hear the Lisa Harris story. Like, where did you grow up? And what led you to talent acquisition and now leading one of the largest SHRM regional conferences in the country?
So, grew up in Denton, Texas. So I've stayed close to home. Graduated high school and went to OU first. So, Boomer.
Boomer Center. I love it.
Exactly. Finished up at University of North Texas and got my degree in psychology and creative writing. Originally started pre-med and quickly realized I'm not a math person. So graduated, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life in 2009 when nobody was hiring. And Thorn just happened to be one of my first interviews. And I took a chance on recruiting where they described it kind of as matchmaking and fell in love. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Isn't that amazing how you like you thought you were going to go down this one path, and then the next thing you know, you're working down this other path. I've met people for your organization, of course, Amanda. I've met
Yes,
her.
Amanda.
She's fantastic. Like you
Amazing.
work with some great people, so I can see how like okay, you pivoted and now. But I'm curious though, like when you started, you're like, hey, this was you know what, this seems like a good fit. But here you are, 16 years later. Like, I'm just curious, and I like to ask this question. Was there
Yeah.
like a moment when you're like, I really love this?
I mean, you mentioned Amanda, and it's really the team. I mean, we're a
Mhm.
family. Very little turnover. All of our
Mhm.
teammates have a lot of tenure, and it's literally family. I mean, they've been with me through it all: breakups, marriages, divorces, kids, and babies, and supporting with Dallas HR and HR Southwest and all the things. And it's there's nowhere else I'd rather be or anyone else I'd rather work for. So
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just celebrated 20 years at Armstrong, and I would say the
we
same
get it.
thing. It's
Yeah.
about the people. And okay, so I just want to kind of talk here about the HR Southwest Conference. I mean, how did that? I'm curious, like, how did your journey begin at the HR Southwest Conference? Because obviously you had to, hear about it, or you looked it up online, but you attended a meeting. And talk about that. I'm curious, like, can you think back to when you first started attending like Dallas HR meetings and when you got involved?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I've been in Dallas HR. I was part of SMA. I started attending things and realized very quickly I needed. You're the first people I met, by the way. Realized I needed to get involved, and I know you encouraged me to volunteer. So I ended up volunteering on several committees in Dallas HR. Landed on the Dallas HR board, and that's really how I found out about conference. I started volunteering as a Dallas HR board member at conference at the Dallas HR booth in the marketplace, and that's really what introduced me to everything. And then a few years ago, the executive director reached out as someone unfortunately could not be director of ed sessions, and education's my passion. Love learning and growing. And I was asked to cover a position on the board, kind of crossover from the Dallas HR, I hate to say side, but side to conference. And I fell in love.
Hmm.
And there's been no turning back. It went from that to working with Tom last year as conference director elect to being conference director this year. And I love it.
Yeah, it's just like your work. It's like it's
Mhm.
another work family,
It is.
getting to, get to know so many different volunteers. And so let's talk about the HR Southwest Conference. It's coming up in
Yeah.
Fort Worth, Texas, October the 13th through the 16th. Learn,
Yes.
network, and grow. Hey, I'm curious. Like, okay, so that first conference that you attended, you were actually on the in the exhibitor hall, right?
Mhm.
And
Correct.
what was that? What was that like?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, there are so many exhibitors that have been with us for years and years. I mean, I met someone last year. I think they're like 25, 26 years of coming back as an exhibitor. So it's just invigorating being out there and seeing, all those long time returning exhibitors and meeting with all the new ones, and just the energy in the marketplace is incredible.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that because there's some people listening right now and they're probably thinking, I should get involved. I should get involved as an exhibitor. What would somebody do if they wanted to get involved as an exhibitor for the conference? Would they just reach out? Could they reach out to you and you could lead them where they need to go?
Absolutely. They can reach out to me. They could reach out to Dallas HR staff Florence directly. Any of us can help hook you up.
Perfect. I will. I'll put that link in the show notes if somebody's interested in exhibit. I've been an exhibitor for the Armstrong Company, and I had. It's funny. You're always trying to think of a way to draw
Yep.
people to your booth, and
Yep.
I filled up a moving box full of packing peanuts, and I counted each one, and I had everybody come over and guess, and it was very interesting. I mean, people were curious, like how many peanuts were in that box. And so that's a lot of fun. I love walking around the booth, talking to different people and finding out, about their services as well as, a lot of them have some pretty good offerings. So you'll definitely want to check that out. One of the things
Yeah.
I love about the conference, you talked about learning, we're talking about
Mhm.
learning, networking, growing. I
Mhm.
love learning. One of the things that is a big draw is typically keynote speakers. Has the HR Southwest Conference yet announced their keynotes? And if they have, who are they and what can we expect?
So we just did like a week ago. So just something about me. I'm all about themes, marketing, colors, making a lasting impression. Like they're all my thing. And we landed on everything 90s for conference. As we were looking at keynotes and different things, like that's something that we looked into. And there's really nothing more rad than having a speaker like Sam Rad open for us. So what to expect from her? She's incredible, high energy. Her passion for what she does is perfect to kick us off. I hear she's planning on an awesome 90s outfit to go along with my theme. So be prepared for that. But her topic, really the future of work, it's so relevant right now, and so on point. And it's really going to bring a lot to the table. And I'm confident that every attendee is going to walk away with something from that opening keynote. And then on the other end of the spectrum for closing, I had to have Ben Utech. And it's kind of funny because in working with executive director of Dallas HR, went to Jimmy and I was like, there's no other option. Like, I've got to have this guy. Like, saw him speak last year, met him, we clicked and we instantly connected. We stayed in touch and there was nobody else I wanted. So for those of you who don't know, he won the Super Bowl with the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning as quarterback. So he's this incredible guy who's done so many amazing things, but the most grounded and down to earth person I've ever met, who sits there and talks about his kids being his world. And by the way, he's a girl dad, so it's neat hearing his stories about all of his daughters being an amazing.
I can't wait. And by the way, for those who are avid listeners, I had Ben Utek on the podcast last year as he was a breakout session speaker.
Mhm.
I'll put the link in the show notes.
Do it.
And he is fantastic. A lot of energy. And he talked about building championship cultures.
Exactly. He needs to be talking about positive culture, which is so important. And it's going to be the perfect kind of bookend to kind of close out.
Oh, that's
And
great.
he and I have several surprises that might pop up at
Yeah.
the 90s party Tuesday night and in closing. So stay tuned.
Oh, I love surprises. I am on the edge of my seat right now. This is fantastic. Okay, so speaking of that, special events. So in 2009, I don't know if you know this or not, but I volunteered on the
Mhm.
HR Southwest Conference, and Sandy Denton, a
Yeah,
former conference director, was
that's
the
easy.
special events director. And so I
Mhm.
was on that team. And so that was the team that got to put everything together. What have you got? Okay, so it's 90. So you got big
90.
plans for special events?
We got big plans. We're trying to do a lot of creative, fun networking events throughout conference. We're hoping to kick it off with something on Sunday just to get everyone connected and making new
Mm.
friends. Our big party Tuesday night. I know we've done kind of this country theme, denim and diamonds, the last few years, but I insisted we needed to change it up, make things fresh. So Attendee Experience is working on a blast from the past 90s party. So start shopping on Amazon now to bring it on to hopefully win our costume contest because we're super, super excited.
You know, when I think about 90s, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but yet when I really think about it, it's over 30 years ago.
Exactly. You start looking at the outfits and costume ideas, and it's you think of Saved by the Bell and
Oh,
all
that's
the crazy
fantastic.
music, and it's going to be a
Ah,
blast. And that's
love
something
that.
that, again, a theme person, you're going to hear and feel 90s from when you walk in to
Mm.
register throughout until that closing keynote. It's going
Yeah,
to be everywhere, so it's going to be fun.
I love that. You know, I think I've been attending conference probably about 15 years now. My first conference was in 2005, and I partnered with another
Yeah.
supplier in the exhibitor hall.
Mhm.
And then I started attending regularly in that 2009 when I was when I was a volunteer. I do know things have changed quite a bit. I want to ask you this question. People are listening to this podcast, they are watching the podcast, and they're thinking, HR Southwest Conference, is that only for HR professionals, or can other people get something out of this conference? What's your perspective around the HR Southwest Conference?
Yeah, no, I think it's really for everybody. I mean, whether you're a new grad wondering what you want to do with your life, to, a CHRO, to maybe just a hiring manager that wants to come, learn more about what's going on in talent acquisition, retention, culture, leadership. It's really for everybody, or even a vendor that wants to come and attend that may not want to have an exhibit or a place in the exhibit hall or marketplace, that just wants to come and network and make connections. It's really for everybody. We have such a wide array of educational sessions and topics that somebody can walk away with something. Anybody can.
Yeah, that's a great point. Of course, I'm in sales and marketing, and I
Mhm.
always learn something to be able to. And a lot of times, what I'm trying to do also is I'm trying to learn something and then take it back to the team and say, "Hey, they're talking about this. What do y'all, what's your perspective on that?" One of the things that I've enjoyed now since 2017 is speaking. I get to speak
Mhm.
this year. I have a session. I'm going to talk about. Moving your mobility program from success to significance. I'm super excited about that. Talk about this sessions. Any sessions that really stick out? What are your thoughts around the educational sessions? What does it take to put that together? And what's the talk this year?
Oh my goodness. I have touched so many different committees between Dallas HR and HR Southwest. And by far, my favorite committee I have ever been on is educational sessions.
Mm,
And it is so fun going through speaker proposals and talking to speakers and meeting them and putting it all together. I mean, it's hours upon hours of work. It is probably the hardest committee you can be on, but
mm.
it is the most rewarding. So we're so excited to have even more speakers this year, larger rooms so that everybody can go see whoever they want to speak. We've got a good mix, some variety of new speakers and speakers that have been with us for a while. I mean, standouts to me, or if you haven't heard Randy Anderson speak, absolutely see him. This year, he's speaking on managing high maintenance, high performers. He is
Mm.
phenomenal, one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Mm.
Another one is, of course, Tony Bridwell.
Oh.
If you haven't seen him speak, you're missing out. He's one of my favorite people I've met through Dallas HR and HR
Mm.
Southwest. He's also our MC. He's also how we got our hands on Ben Tech, as he is his mentor. Just a phenomenal speaker. And he's speaking on the follower effect, flipping the script on leadership. So
Yeah.
really good one for all levels to attend. And then, of course, I was going to hit on yours, but you already mentioned it. So everyone needs to, of course, see Bruce speak. He's one of my favorites. And then the last person I wanted to highlight or mention is Dee Maddox. I had the pleasure of meeting Dee through Dallas HR, sitting on the board with her, but she fills up a room every time. Her energy and her passion and her speaking ability is phenomenal. Her topic is putting the human back into HR in the age of AI, which is very relevant right now with AI and Chat GPT and all those things, right here in front of all of us every day. And she's just great. She wears like bold, bright blazers like me too. We got a similar energy. So definitely check her out.
The Dee Maddox, she's phenomenal. Oh, I've been looking at the speakers. All of them are just phenomenal. Many veterans there that they're just so good at engagement. And that's whenever I'm in different sessions, that's what I'm looking for, is like, how do they engage? And a lot of times you can hear the crowd, like everybody just gets into it. I was going to mention, now that you mentioned Randy Anderson, I hear that he might be also up for or is he being inducted in the Hall of Fame? Is that what I hear?
He may be. I'm so excited.
Oh my goodness, he is fantastic. I've got to speak with Randy in several different conferences. He's a great teacher. He's a
He
great
really
teacher. And
is.
that's and when you mention some of these people too, they also do that well. Tony Bridwell's the same way. Okay, so Tony Bridwell, I want to talk about him for a second. He's written several books. He's been part of the Dallas HR community for a long, long time. But you brought him in to be the MC. I want to say a couple of years ago. And to me, it really like elevated the energy. What are your thoughts around that?
Absolutely. He is so amazing. He doesn't even need a script. He's got it, but he is
Mm.
just his personality and how he introduces people and it keeps things so engaging and entertaining on that stage. He is one of my favorite people. I'm so glad he's MC. If he weren't MC, I might have been, going after him to be a keynote guest.
I love it because I think he's got a new book coming out, and it may be coming out at that time. So stay tuned for that. I think that's what it's really all about. I mean, all the different people you're mentioning, all the different opportunities to learn in these educational sessions, and then just being part of this. I don't know, just this community is incredible. I do want to ask you this conference app. When people sign up, they can register now, and I know I'll put the information in the show notes. But when is the conference app available?
It should be available sooner than later. And what's
Okay.
awesome about it is you're able to connect with peers, network, or like grow your network. Everyone, you can connect your LinkedIn to it. You'll be able to add your photo. And this year, you'll be able to add all the sessions you want to attend and really organize to make sure you don't miss anyone you want to see.
Hey, let me just ask you this for the people listening right now. I mean, this is a big conference. I mean,
Mhm.
you're going to have, I don't know, maybe close to a couple of thousand people there. How long does it take to plan for this? I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. What's the planning like, and how many volunteers do you have that serve with you?
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. We start planning and really having the strategic meetings really right after conference. We start to have the meetings to kind of recap, well, what do we want to change about next year, to really starting to plan in December and
Mhm.
January with the committees. Right now we're really in our busy time. It really starts April through, September, where we're really, hitting the ground running. We have close to 50 volunteers, but they really work really hard, and shout out, to our we've got the directors and all the volunteers, that the committee volunteers, and really everyone pulls a lot of weight, but pulling off conference and making it the best between education and then just all the fun events and making sure every attendee just has a phenomenal experience from the moment they walk in to registration to when they walk out the door after hearing the closing keynote. It takes a lot of people.
Yeah, it does. It takes a village. Hey, I'm curious. As you're talking about this, like I can sense the excitement. Like there's a lot of excitement, and you still have a ways to go because you're still
Mhm.
continuing. You have a lot of moving parts. I'm curious, do y'all talk about what you want that attendee experience to be like? I'm just curious, could you share kind of some perspective around what are you hoping people will say whenever they're at the conference, or maybe they've come out of a session, maybe they've come off the exhibitor floor, maybe it's after the conference. What are you hoping their experience is like and what they're saying?
We want everyone, whether they're a veteran coming in or someone brand new, to walk away going, wow, I've learned so much. I had such a great time. I met so many new people that just they had a great experience where they want to leave and immediately register using that discount code to come
Mhm.
back, next year. Just to have fun. I want it to be fun. We want to
Mm,
do it well, make it fun, have a good time, but learn as we go and hopefully walk away with new connections, whether it be for business purposes, maybe a new job down the road, or just a friend. I mean, I met one of my best friends in real life 2 years ago at conference, and
mm.
we have been inseparable ever since. So
Okay,
it's just,
tell me about that because that's a moment right there. Like, okay, so were they volunteering? Were they just attending the conference? Tell me about that because I know there's people listening right now going, I'm thinking about going. And then as you shared that just now, I'm like, that one reason right there, that one thing right there is a good reason to go. Talk about that for a second.
yeah, for sure. So my first year really volunteering as a leader at conference was a few
Mm,
years ago, and I was the director of ed sessions. And
yeah.
I was coming into this committee that I didn't really know anyone on it.
Hmm.
And I met people, of course, it's like a family. You meet, all your volunteers. And as I'm volunteering there, I got to know the attendee experience committee. And I met Chance Lyde. Literally, we were both just volunteer. I'm a volunteer leader. He's a volunteer, and we just met and instantly clicked. And it's like we have been attached to the hip since. Like he has, you know, just been such a big part of my life, and vice versa.
Mm,
That really that was my wow moment. It's the relationships, and I have probably dozens of people I've gotten that close to where we text year
mm.
round, and it's like miss you, can't wait for conference. It's whether we hang out all the time or whether it's maybe someone I met down in Austin, and it's just texting here or there, waiting until October. It's just the relationships are so important to me and really what's impacted my life. So.
Yeah, no, that's what it's really all about. Okay, so someone says, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to attend conference. Do you have like I don't know, do you have like an orientation or somewhere to where people can learn a little bit about how to navigate through, number one, and number two, any recommendations or tips on what people should think about if maybe their first time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have the first time attendees. I'm trying to think of what we're calling it. First time attendees orientation. That's gonna be awesome. I'll be there at the beginning to help kick it off, and
Mm,
then Tom Barton, our conference director of last
mm,
year, is really gonna be running point on it this year for me, so that I can go on to do some other things. But he's great, and last year we had such a good attendance at it. Just to introduce everyone to conference, we're gonna highlight some of the key speakers that we think newbies should definitely go see. I think my biggest piece of advice is just come in with an open mind, open heart, just to meet people and network, focus on that. The education piece is equally as important, but get in there and meet someone that first time attendee experience, so that we've got someone to grab dinner with or grab a drink at whiskey and rye with after, just make those connections. Because
yeah.
that's really going to be what makes your experience incredible.
Yeah, and I always try to encourage people like, hey, just go up and ask people. Like most people, isn't it funny? Do you get this feeling that when you go to a conference and you see all these people, it looks like they all know each other, but
Mm-hmm.
many of them don't. They've just met.
Just
So when you
met.
walk up to them, a lot of time they're glad that you introduce yourselves, right?
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I've met some. I went to Sherm National last year, and I literally the people I met I was sitting next to in the ed sessions. I just would turn over, where are you
Yeah,
from? So
yeah,
just do that. Just ask someone where they're from, where they're staying, what they're doing, and the rest will just kind of go from there. Or come
yeah.
find me, because I'm going to be wearing a different pair of '90s shoes and
Mm,
earrings every day, and I would love to meet everybody if possible.
I
So
love that. You
I'll be
heard it
around.
right here. So I'll put that in the show notes. Hey, when you're at conference, though, really, Lisa does want you to know. She
Yes,
wants to hear from you, and she wants to know how
absolutely.
it's going. Like that
Mhm.
feedback is incredible, right? Now,
For
after the
sure.
conference, I guess you also do a survey, so you get to like look at like real feedback, and then you're always trying to improve on that, right?
Exactly, we do, and it's incredible. We got such great feedback
Mm,
last year on our speakers. So
yeah,
that's just another reason to consider
yeah.
coming.
I want to
So,
ask you a couple of questions here. The first
yeah.
question I want to ask you is, what as a leader, as a volunteer leader, I don't know, what's been something that either you didn't really expect or something that's been challenging along the way that you've been able to work through? Any thoughts around that? Because it's not easy. I mean, it's daily. Like you're working a plan, you're working with people, you're working daily. Any things that you didn't think about before you were the director, and now you're like, oh man, that was a little bit more challenging, but it wasn't too bad.
That's a great question because in my career, I've had some opportunities to lead, but not, at this level. So
Mm-hmm.
what Dallas HR and HR Southwest has given me is the ability, to really lead and be that
Mm-hmm.
number one person trying to motivate, encourage, include, have people feel engaged and like part of it. And whereas I know nobody's perfect, I've really focused on those things because I want every single committee member and leader to feel wanted, needed, like they're a part of
Mm-hmm.
this and they're making a huge impact and difference, on our conference. So that's something I've really focused heavily on. I'm trying to join all the committee meetings I can just so they know who I am. I want to get to know everybody. And just personally, thank every single one of them when we're there,
Mm-hmm.
boots on the ground at conference. So it's been an incredible opportunity to lead. I might say the biggest challenge and reward at the same time is really succession planning because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to leave it just with me or, Rhonda will be conference director in 2025. It's thinking ahead of who out of our leaders and volunteers should be, the next, whether it be a committee director elect or conference director elect, like having those conversations of who's interested, who's got that skill set, and then kind
Mm-hmm.
of help succession plan so that my legacy doesn't just end with me at the end of this year, but it goes on just like
Yeah.
Tom did, with
Yeah.
me and other leaders. So I
Yeah.
just want to keep it going.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. You're sandwiched by two great people, two great leaders, Tom Barton and Rhonda Clemente. That is,
Absolutely. It's
oh
it's awesome.
man.
So I'm gonna make sure whoever comes up behind Rhonda is just as
Oh,
awesome.
no,
So
you're right. Hey, the second question I want to ask you is this: as you are continuing to move through the process, again, a conference is coming out October the 13th through the 16th, so we're still a couple of months out. But what are you most proud of?
oh goodness. It's the leaders. It's literally the directors and director elects. Like
Mhm.
everyone has stepped up so much this year and just blown it out of the water. From Ed Sessions, we're adding all these new speakers and
Yeah,
whatnot just to have more variety to, attendee experience. Me saying this, dropping this, I want 90s, and Eileen and Chance just completely
yeah.
running with it. It's just the support and creativity and just all of their work makes me so proud. I mean,
Mm,
I'm a mama, I've got two kids, and it's just the mama bear in me. I want to give all my people credit. So
I
literally
love it.
them, Tom. I also give a shout out to Lauren Truelove too.
Mm,
Her being Dallas HR president, her support of me in conference, just being somebody I could run things by. I'm
yeah.
proud of that relationship and connection as well.
Yeah,
So
I love that. I
great.
love all that. It's all about people. Hey, I want to before we move on here, I want to ask about this. And we've talked about educational sessions. We've talked about some of the speakers that's going to be there. We've talked about if you're thinking about going to the conference, what you can do as a first timer and different things like that. I want to talk about, and we've talked a little bit about the exhibitor booth. That's
Mhm.
kind of how you kind of got your entry, and as well as me. And we call it the marketplace. And so
Yes.
the marketplace is pretty cool, but it seems like there's always something that attracts people to the marketplace. And it seems like it's like the puppy cuddling,
Oh,
the
yes.
puppies. Are you going to have the puppies again this year?
I
And what
believe.
are a couple things, I don't know, that's going to be in the marketplace that people like they got to be there?
All right, so I believe puppy cuddling's coming back, but
Okay.
what's even better
What?
is there are rumors we're gonna have some miniature cows. Who doesn't
What?
want to see and meet a miniature cow? Like I've decided I may need one in my backyard
I love that.
after
Miniature
conference.
cows.
Miniature cows. It's gonna
This
be
is
amazing.
Oh, you know what? You've used this word a couple of times, fun. That just
Fun.
sounds fun, doesn't it?
let's have some fun. Learn, grow, network, grow, and have fun. I just need to
Yeah.
add that word to it
Oh,
for the next
I
year.
love that. I love all this. This is going to be so much fun. It's going to be the HR Southwest Conference coming up October the 13th through the 16th. You can still register. I'll put the link in the show notes. You need to get registered. You don't have to be in HR. You can serve in any area of business. You can come and learn. You can come and network. You can come and grow. And at the end of the day, those are the expectations, and those will be met. I can't wait to be there and to watch this unfold once again. So, final question. I want to ask this question, and this is a great opportunity for you to speak to the audience. And that is this: why should someone register for the HR Southwest Conference? Why do they need to be there?
I mean, beyond, our keys, learning, education, networking, meeting people, and growing, hopefully professionally, personally. I'd say there's nothing better than being surrounded by like-minded people, people
Mm,
that are going through what you're going through every day, and you're not feeling alone. You're around all
mm.
these peers in HR that are experiencing the same things. So just being around that in itself should be enough reason to go. Come and make friends, have some fun, and feel like you can vent, network, and talk to all these other HR professionals, and maybe walk away with some solutions or ideas to take back to your company.
I love that last part because I always talk about one of the things you can do to bring value to the organization is you can bring the company ideas, and you can get those ideas from the HR Southwest Conference. And I just cannot
Absolutely.
wait. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey, I want to shift to the last part of the show.
Okay.
It's just I call it the time to accelerate, just with some fun questions.
All
Um,
right.
Hey, like you mentioned, you went to Sherm National.
Mhm.
What's your favorite city to visit? I mean, whether it's for a conference or just to visit, what's your favorite city?
It's a good question. I would say I'm between two. Panama City Beach. We go every year for 4th of July. Fireworks
Ooh.
on the beach. We leave in less than 2 weeks. Can't wait. Or I would say Chicago because Lou Malnati's pizza is my favorite food of all time. Like that would be my death row meal if I were asked that question. Like
Home of
love it.
Sherm
So
2024. I love it. I love it. Okay.
plug for that. So they should definitely get the pizza while they're there.
Oh, definitely. Hey, okay. So what are you most, I mean, you've named a lot of things today, but what are you most looking forward to at this year's HR Southwest Conference?
Being around some of my favorite people for four
Mm,
days. The people not only here locally, but the people coming in from
yeah.
Austin, Houston, all that. Not just the volunteers, but just people in general. I met so many fun people last year at the party and at Whiskey and Rye and at the Ed Sessions. And it'll be so great to hug some friendly faces and meet some new people. So
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I like meeting new speakers. I like meeting people. I like seeing old friends, of course, and meeting new ones. But I always kind of look forward to like the marketplace. There's kind of a social on typically, I think it's usually around Monday
Monday.
or yeah.
Yeah. So
And
we'll
so we'll
have
have,
that. Yeah, we'll
yeah,
have that social Monday. It's going
yeah.
to be really fun. More details to come. And then I think I'm probably most excited for the 90s party. So,
Oh, I love it. The
so many
night.
surprises planned for that.
Oh, I got to get ready for that. Okay. Okay. So you are a very energizing person. What energizes you? What gets you to move?
This is my mama answer, but my kids are my world. Everything I
Mm,
do is for them. This year I took on being conference director. I'm also PTA president and I
mm,
work full time. I'm a cheer
yeah.
mama. I help coach baseball. I do everything for my kids. And that's what gives me
Yeah.
the energy to do the things is to show them that you can have it all and do it all.
Yeah.
Never settle, just
Yeah.
push forward.
Hey,
So
I want to stop there just for a second. I do have one last question, but there's some people listening right now that they're involved in a lot. And I'm just curious, like, do you have any like Lenny? First of all, do you have like any tips on like how you manage all of that? Because you have a full plate. You have your family, you have your volunteer role, you have your work, full-time work, and then you have some things you're doing with your children as well. But there's obviously a big rewards there, or you wouldn't be doing that. So I guess my question to you is, number one, how has this helped you as a volunteer? Because you put in a lot of hours. How has volunteering helped you in your career? Because I want people to hear that are listening right now. They're like, I'd like to volunteer. I just don't have time.
mhm.
How has that helped you in your career? Number one. And number two, uh, like share like one tip that helps you stay on
Yeah.
track.
I mean, it's helped me in my career because I've built relationships, with clients. I've been able to hang out with them at Dallas HR events and at HR
Mm,
Southwest Conference and just build on those existing relationships. And then it just fulfills my heart giving back. Like volunteering makes me feel good.
mm,
And I never want to give that up when it's just part of who I am and what
mm.
I need to do to feel whole and to feel happy. I guess my one tip would be you can always do it all as long as you've got a good plan. You just got to be organized. I have a weekly calendar on the fridge. I've got my monthly calendar, my daily calendar for work. Like as
Yeah,
long as you're organized and you've got a good plan and you've
yeah.
got your priorities and ducks in a row, you can do anything. I mean, I've had to make some tough decisions or race from a board meeting in Dallas to a PTA meeting in Flower Mound. But you know what? You do what you need to do and
Yeah.
take care of it all and make it happen.
I love that. It's all about priorities and knowing what to say yes to and what to say no to. Because when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else, and when you're saying yes,
Mhm.
you're saying no to something else. So you probably that's I think, and I appreciate you sharing that because I think that's an intangible of a
Mhm.
volunteer leader is their growth. They really learn, the areas where they can say yes and say no and feel good about it and feel confident about it and can move forward and they figured out how to prioritize. And so I feel like that's that way for most volunteer leaders. And that's like before they started as a volunteer. I know when I first started as a volunteer, I wasn't very good at that, but I learned to get good at that along the way. And so I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, here's my final question. I ask all my guests this question. Lisa, 10 years older, is around the corner. She's knocking at your door and you're going to answer that door. What's she going to say to you?
Well, I would say, what I tell myself is stress less, let things go, shrug things
Mm,
off, because I'm very type A and I'm not good at that today, but I wish I could just kind of shrug more
mm,
off. And, life is too short to be anything but happy. So live in
mm.
every moment and stop stressing about the little things. The grand
Yeah.
scheme of things doesn't matter.
Don't stress about it. It's all going to
Mm.
work out, especially when you have a great team and you have a great team at the
Yes.
HR Southwest Conference coming up October the 13th through the 16th. I'm going to put the registration link in the show notes. You heard Lisa talk about the great MC we have coming
Yeah.
back with Tony. You got the great keynotes coming in. You've got lots of educational programs. You've got the special events. You got the marketplace. Also, if you are interested in being a sponsor, I'm going to put the link in the show notes. Click that link, either get a booth or get a sponsorship, be a part of the conference, find a way to get involved, and you'll be glad you did. So Lisa, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective. Hey, if somebody like they're listening and they're like, oh
Yeah.
man, I'm not connected to Lisa. I need to connect with her. How's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, I mean, you can connect to me on really any social media platform. I'm Lisa Harris on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. I will warn you if you find me on TikTok, it's going to be a lot of my 11-year-old doing her own thing. She's not old enough to have her own, but literally Lisa Harris on everything. Reach
Yeah.
out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you want to meet at conference, I'd love to meet you. So just
I'm
reach out and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, and I will put Elisa's link in the show notes. So be sure when you click the link and you connect with her, be sure and say, "Hey, I heard you on Life and Leadership Lane," and she'll immediately say, "Oh yeah, let's connect."
Oh,
And
goodness.
so, man, I appreciate you so much. I
Thank
appreciate you
you.
coming on the show. I cannot wait to like watch this conference unfold. I've been watching you from afar lead, and you're doing a terrific job. You're all of your volunteers, Dallas HR staff and the whole Texas SHRM community with all the ambassadors and everybody just kind of pitching in. It's going to be a pretty good event. So I appreciate you so much, but mostly I appreciate your friendship, Lisa.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you for encouraging me to get involved because I
Yeah.
wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. So,
Oh, all right. Hey, I'll talk to you later.
all right, sounds
Can't wait to
good.
share this.